We got the turbo kit here. The motor is ready for it, minus a couple things, but it's not going to take very long to finish that up completely. We need the oil pan out of here and the injectors in order to get the motor finished. So we're going to unbox this, get everything laid out on the table that we can, and then we're going to go ahead and try to get this motor put together so we can get it back in the car. Let's do it. Nut. This is just a fan shroud, but this is a beautiful underwear. Hear it now. And that's all of it laid out on the table. We've got all of our intercooler piping, our intercooler, our oil pan, fans, the turbo, blow-off valve, wastegate, exhaust or downpipe, header. Now we just need to transfer as much as we can out of the motor, get the fans in, get the fuel pump in, finish buttoning that up, and get it put into the car. Unfortunately, we're still waiting on the clutch. The clutch was supposed to ship yesterday and it didn't. So depending on when everything's ready to go in the car, if we get to that point and the clutch still hasn't even sent, then we're just gonna put the clutch in and go, because I don't wanna wait much longer in order to get this thing running. I really just wanna hear the way it sounds, especially with the exhaust. We have the exhaust right there. So once everything's in, which I'm hoping probably within the next week or so, we'll have this thing started. We'll get the new map loaded up. I don't really mind running the stock clutch setup, clutch and flywheel setup while it's in the break-in, because we're not gonna be pushing any boost. We're not gonna be pushing a whole lot of power. And the goal for that is just to break it in, get it ready for the dyno. So as long as we have the clutch in before the dyno, then we can pull the motor, put the new clutch and flywheel in. I just don't wanna have to do that. But if it means getting this thing started and the break-in started sooner, then that's what we're gonna have to do. So let's go ahead and put the oil pan on, get the motor completely closed up. I've got the new direct injectors, they just came in, so we'll put those in, put the intake on, the port injectors, and we don't really have a whole lot more before we're ready to throw this in. So that being said, I'm not gonna talk a whole lot. I usually do that in every video and then I end up talking too much. We're just gonna do a time lapse here. So enjoy some music while I get this thing ready. We'll take a break here in a minute when things are ready to go. And then hopefully by the end of this video, the motor is done and doesn't need to be touched. That's the goal. All right, let's get to it. We've run into a problem. So when installing the GDI, or the direct injectors, into the heads on both sides, I was told, because I didn't see it in the factory service manual, but I was told that you were to install these into the fuel rail and lube up the combustion seals and then just slowly torque down the fuel rail evenly, pushing those down in. When I initially installed this side, I wasn't really paying attention and I totally spaced all of that, and I tried to push these in by hand and on my own, which I don't think really has an effect on what ended up happening, because it didn't damage the injector itself, and it ended up happening on the other side too. But when I went ahead and got these installed, I don't remember how, but for some reason I had to pull this back out. I think I pulled the fuel rail back off to check something, and this one popped out, and both of these didn't stay where they're supposed to be. They're supposed to stay right in that groove right there and then make a seal inside. If you take a look at the old injectors that came off, they still have that combustion seal sitting right in place, and it's supposed to be pressed on. I think these are like a Teflon material, and what they do is they put like a bore on here, slide it on, and they compress it with a tool to reform it and get it to the right size so it'll stay there, and then make a seal when it goes in. Unfortunately, these are all screwed. So if you look at that, these two are split just like that, as you see on this one. And so these would actually probably be fine because they pop in and they do make a seal, but those ones are screwed up completely. The reason why I went and actually got new injectors, and those ones are actually remanned, but the reason why I went to buy new ones instead of rebuilding them is because this one right here got bent at the lip right here, so this is pretty much useless. All that being said, we're gonna have to either rebuild the reman ones or buy one brand new one and rebuild the other ones. I think what I'm gonna end up doing is buying a new one, a brand new one, because I think the seals on these remans are a different material. You saw the color difference, which normally wouldn't make a huge deal, but just feeling it, it felt like a different material. Plus, I wasn't paying attention at first, because obviously I did even more research after they broke, but they're supposed to be really tight on there and they're not supposed to spin around too much, and I think these ones weren't sized right. I'm not entirely sure. We probably could rebuild them, but if I'm gonna rebuild any, I'm just gonna go ahead and rebuild the old ones. That being said, we're gonna have to hold off on that. I'm gonna go ahead and try to get the injectors dropped off on Monday to have someone rebuild them, because I don't have the tool to do it, and honestly at this point I don't really have the patience either, because it's gonna take a little bit to actually get those on, and the chances of me screwing up a combustion seal or two over 4 when trying to rebuild them is likely. So we're gonna go ahead and try to get the motor into the car, I think, get it on the engine hoist, put the rear main on, install the rear main, put the old clutch and flywheel on, because we don't have the new clutch and flywheel yet, get it into the car, and then we'll just finish putting everything on that we have for the car in terms of the turbo kit and the gauges that I bought. If we can get everything else done though, we'll still be on track. I'm hoping to get this thing started by next weekend. It just depends on when we get those injectors back. But that being said, let's get this thing on the engine hoist, get all of that done, and try to get this thing back into the car. today. And just like that, the motor is back in the car. All right, so I am stoked because I haven't had this motor in this car for a long time. This is my first build, so running into a lot of unexpected issues, wait times for parts I didn't realize that I was gonna need, which isn't really an unexpected issue for someone that knows what they're doing. This is just my first build, so unfortunately that took up a lot of time. Nonetheless, that being said, we are waiting for more parts. The ACT clutch and flywheel is supposed to come in. I don't know when. I reached out to MA Performance and they're trying to give me an updated ETA. But I'm not gonna wait because I want this thing to run, and we can use a stock flywheel and clutch for the break-in period, which is about 600 miles. And then once a new set comes in, before we go to dyno it, we'll throw the new ones in. That's the least of our worries. We still have so much that we have to do. I gotta put the header back on because I had to take that off in order to put the motor in there, as I should have known, because there is no space in here whatsoever. I ended up having to take the studs off of the block that for the tranny and for the bell housing to get that in too, just because there literally isn't any space in this engine bay, even with this boxer motor. So I don't know how people squeeze LS motors in this thing. That just sounds impossible. All that being said, like I said, I'm super stoked to have the motor back in the car. It's gonna free up a lot of shop space, and as much as I enjoy having a motor on an engine stand, doing all the work on there, I'm kind of excited to actually work in an engine bay again. So now we've narrowed everything down to this. We've got to put coolant lines back on. We've got to pull the bumper off, put the intercooler on, new fans, got to go and put the fuel pump on. Once the new injector rebuild kits come in for the direct injectors, I can rebuild those, put the combustion seals on, put those back in, hopefully not ruin them this time. And then we can button up the whole top, put our gauges in, wire everything up. Got to get a battery and just miscellaneous crap. But with any luck, we could have this thing running in one more weekend. We'll see. I don't know. that being said, I think I'm going to wrap it up here for you guys. Didn't get quite as much done as I was hoping. Like I said, it's my first build, so making a lot of mistakes, but learning from them. And we're just waiting on that rebuild kit for the injectors, and then we can build the whole top part of the motor, get all the wiring laid down, the harness connected, coolant lines, turbo kit. And then after everything is completely done and we're ready for first startup, I just got to send a map into the tuner, get a base map going, drive around a little bit, and it's time to break this thing in. So, all right, y'all, I'll see you in the next one. If you guys have any comments, questions, maybe you guys know more than I do and I'm missing something, go ahead and drop it because I'm a student. I'm not anywhere near a teacher yet. So, all right, see you on the next one.